Good morning guys, and welcome back to Damo Drives, bringing real reviews to real people and answering some of those questions other channels might not talk about. I've come down to Chandler's BMW here in Howsham to drive this car. It's the brand new i4, the all-electric version based on the 4 Series Gran Coupe. Now when I was thinking about this car and what it was up against, the first competitor I thought of was the Tesla Model 3. And then I thought about it a bit more. And I don't think it is. Well, not at the moment anyway. I think its main competitor has to be, well, itself. And by that I mean the petrol version of the 4 Series Gran Coupe. And in some ways, the 3 Series as well. So what we're going to do in this video, we'll have a good look around this car and see whether the i4 would be a better bet than the petrol, something like the M440, because they've both got their pros and cons to them. So does the i4 make sense for you? It is a lifestyle choice at the moment until 2030. So let's have a good look around the car, go out for a drive and see what the i4 is all about. Before we go out for a drive, I want to show you around the outside of the car because I love the look of this coupe. It's a really smart and elegant look. Now, this car is the i4 eDrive40 M Sport, and as you see it here in the optional San Remo green, this is a £66,000 car. 66,000. Someone has been very happy with the configurator to make this car, and it's a very well-spec'd car. I'm going to have to get my phone out in order to tell you all of the optional packs it has fitted. So we'll start off. The interior, we've got the oyster with grey contrasting stitch leather. That's £1,300. On the outside, visibility pack, which gives us these laser lights with the blue accents, £1,500. Technology Plus pack, which gives you things like active cruise control, 360 cameras, automatic parking. That's another £3,800 for you, sir. Can I interest you in the Comfort Plus pack? Yes, you can. That's another £1,950. The M Sport Pro pack, which gives us things like the upgraded M Sport brakes. We've got a shadow line finish, so rather than being shiny, you've got this matte black around the front, kidney grille down the side. That's another £2,500. Sunroof, £1,000 for that one, please. And then I said the optional paint. That's another £695. So it's a very well appointed car. Look at it, it's just good looking, isn't it? And we'll go around the front. This is the only controversial area, but I like it. It's certainly not as controversial as the iX. Is the kidney grills on here. Now, half of them are sealed off because they're not required for cooling, but the electric motor and batteries do need some airflow, so the lower part is actually opened up. There's a few subtle hints this is an electric car. We've got the blue ring that runs around the outside of the BMW badge. There's an I logo over on the right hand side, and then on the number plate there's a green bar, which I don't know whether it's a UK thing, I don't know if it's a BMW thing, but there's a green bit there which says I'm electric. But the rest of it just looks like a normal 4 Series Gran Coupe. And is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. And the side view I think gets even better. We've got flush door handles, give it a more sleek look, also improves aero on the car. 19-inch upgraded wheels. You can get like an aero type wheel, which will give you 10% better aero. It's like another 15 kilometers of range or something. And in here you've got like aluminium bits which fill in some of these gaps. I like them, so I'd stick with that option there. The doors, because it is a coupe, we've got no surround on the top of this one, and the same on the rear as well. So I don't know what you guys think. Do you like the look of this i4? We've got new 3D sculpted tail lights which look absolutely brilliant, a small boot lip spoiler across the back, and as we saw at the front, the BMW badge with the blue surround, we've got exactly the same at the back here. A parking camera, and then lower down, this is where the big difference is between this and the petrol variant. There are no exhausts. Here we've just got blanker plates for them. Maybe not to everyone's taste. I'm not sure whether it would have looked better if they had to have just covered them up, but Who knows? Anyway, onto the boot. 470 litres of storage in here with the seats up, $12.90 if you put them down. Now the thing that's impressive is the fact it's a hatchback, it's not a saloon, so you can fit loads of things in here. It's very, very practical. The seats as well, you've got a 20 split in the middle, so you can put things that are slightly longer and still get a couple of adults in here. Under the floor, we've got some storage for your charging cables, which is good. There's some cargo nets. So overall, it's a good amount of storage in here. So now the question is, what is the back like? Because we've got that swooping roof line, is it going to affect passenger room in the back? Let's go and have a look. So what's it like getting in the back? Well, getting in's fine. Got a reasonable, well, I'll say reasonable, about an inch of headroom. So if you're taller than 6 foot, you're going to be a bit stumped. Now, the problem I have straight away is my feet will not go under the driver's seat. I've got my toes just about, so it's not exactly the best. Legroom as well is not fantastic. You have to open your legs quite a lot in order to sit in the back. But if you're 5 foot, you'll probably be quite comfortable. But the overall quality in here is lovely. We've got this lovely oyster leather in here with the contrasting stitching. Just feels really, really well put together. This central armrest with a couple of cup holders. Got your own controls for the climate control in the back on this center section. Dual USB Type-C charging. So from that point of view, it's okay. It's a nice place to be, as long as you're short. Not sure about that. So let's hop in the front. We'll have a quick look around and then we'll go for a drive. So welcome to the inside of the new i4. It feels very familiar to a 4 Series, but it's dominated by the brand new infotainment and digital touchscreen across here. The same one you'll find in the iX iDrive version 8. Takes a bit of getting used to, but it's not massively different. There's just more functions. You've got these tiles across here. Again, you can add different widgets to them if you want to. So I'm not going to go into this. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that do a deep dive into how this all works. But overall, it's a lovely place to be. Under this cover here, we've got my phone. It's got wireless charging, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, a couple of cup holders and a USB Type-C charging port there. We move further back round the drive selector. We've got these blue accents as we've seen around the rest of the car. Blue is obviously the colour of a blue start button. And most importantly, over on the left, we've got the legendary jog wheel for controlling the iDrive system. We've kept with physical buttons as well as being able to swipe over different menus. You can just use the shortcut buttons that we've got down there. So that's a definite thumbs up from me. Over this side, we've got Sport, Comfort and Eco Pro button. Over here, you've got a way of engaging your park assist, and we'll have a look at that a bit later when it's actually out on the road, because it'll make a bit more sense. If you could imagine you've driven into this car park, well, you don't need to, you can see we have. You go around here and then you need to back out the way you just came. You go, right, I've parked up, I need to get out. Oh, okay. Put it in R, turn reverse assist on. Now this is going to replay what I've just done. So I've got hands off the wheel. I just need to keep an eye out on what's happening. And that's it. So it's going to replay exactly what I've just done. Turning the wheel. I don't need to do anything whatsoever, and it will get me back into the position I was a minute ago. Good size steering wheel, maybe a little bit chunky, plenty of buttons on here that again you need to get used to before going out. Most of it is to do with your active cruise control and speed limiters and controlling what you see on the digital dash up here. Under the armrest, again, loads more storage, another USB Type-C charging port. So there's plenty of places on this car to actually charge your devices. It's nice here, we've got some physical buttons for your audio. The temperature, yes, it's touch, so yeah, I would have liked a physical button maybe for temperature, but it's not really end of the world, is it? But overall, it's a lovely place. Ambient lighting, let's have a look. See that? We've got the pink colour here, we've got it in the door, we've got it in the footwell, it's everywhere. It's just a very traditionally classy place to be, as all BMWs are. It doesn't feel like an electric car. So let's head out onto the road and let's see what the i4 is like in the real world. So it's going to be interesting. Welcome to the driver's seat of the BMW i4. It feels very familiar in here if you've driven a 4 Series or even a 3 Series. But the reason for that, it's based on the same CLAR platform. It is virtually identical to the 4 Series Grand Coupe. Well, sorry, I'm doing a bit of injustice. It's not identical to the 4 Series Grand Coupe. There's an engine missing to start with, but we'll go through that over the course of the video. But why would you choose an i4 and not a regular petrol model? This, as we see it, the 40 M Sport with a few extra packs on here, is a £66,000 car. You can get the petrol variant of this, which for the same money, you're looking probably at the M440, which is a bit of a spectacular car for the same. But why would you get this? What does this offer us? Well, to me, there's a couple of things. One, it's better for the environment. Now, this is a bit of a hot topic, really, because on a day-to-day basis, yes, it is better for the environment, but it's the impact on the environment, making the electric motors and the batteries. So yeah, that's a different video. We won't go into that in too much detail, but day to day, you're putting electric in here rather than fossil fuels. This car is selling by the boatload to company car owners because it's 0% benefit in kind on your tax. People can't get hold of these quick enough. They are going to save you thousands and thousands of pounds over the course of ownership over a regular petrol variant, which is definitely a good thing. Obviously, if you're going to buy this as a private car, you don't get those same benefits. We'll move on to the cost of fueling the vehicles. Now, we're going to talk about day-to-day costs as opposed to long-term, but for a 1,000-mile range covered in this, you're going to be paying around £30 charging from home. A petrol car, which does 35 miles to the gallon, it's going to cost you around £180. That is a massive difference. And if you're out and about and you want to find like a fast charger, one of the Ionity stations, you would be looking at £120 rather than 180. There's a bit of a caveat to this, a good caveat at that. So if you get a new iX or an i4, you get free membership for a year to the Ionity network. I think it covers you for BP Pulse as well, and that gives you discount rates on charging. So rather than it costing you £120, being part of this scheme, it drops it down to only £45. And that, to me, is definitely a good thing. You're definitely making some good savings at that point. That leads me nicely into talking about charging and the difference between this and the petrol one. So up front, we don't have a motor. We've got like a hole under the bonnet with some wires in there, but we've got an 80 kilowatt battery. Real world to you and me, that means this 40 M Sport will give you a range of around 350 miles. And that, you probably won't get 350 if I'm being honest. You're probably 300, 310. If you went for the M50 variant, you get dual electric motors, which means it's fast, 60 in like 3.9 seconds, but it decreases the range to around 310. Again, real world, you're probably looking at around 250. In terms of charging though, how long does it actually take? Well, the slowest method, and the one I probably would never do, would be plugging in via a 3-pin plug. You need 46 hours for that to fully charge. 46 hours, that just is not practical at all. So that means really you should have a wall charger unit fitted. So that means you can charge your car quicker. If you can get an 11 kilowatt charge point, I think it only takes, I think it's 13 hours for a full charge. But the thing you need to remember is you don't need to fully charge it every single day. Because unless you're doing 300 miles, then you don't need 300 miles of range. It might be at the beginning of the week, you're fully charged and you're doing 50 miles a day, so you come home, you plug it in, it's only going to take a couple of hours. So that's not a problem. You don't need that full 13-hour charge. If you've got something like an Ionity fast charger near you, things get a lot quicker. This does fast charging, 205 kilowatts to be precise. And the real world, you can charge the car to 80% in 34 minutes. Plug it in for only 10 and it will give you another 101 miles of range. And that to me now is starting to talk sensible times for charging your car. So that's definitely a good thing in terms of charging. The biggest problem really is the actual infrastructure. It's finding the Ionity or BP Pulse charge stations. So that's one thing that definitely needs to be improved, and I'm sure by the time 2030 comes up, things will be considerably better. We've got different driving modes on the car, physical buttons down by the drive selector, so we can toggle through. You can either be in Eco Pro, which is great if you want to eke out your battery life. We've then got Comfort and we've got Sport. And Sport you can customise, you press this little configure individual button and you can change a few settings to get it just how you'd like it to be. So we've got adaptive dampers in here. If you went for the M50, you've actually got air ride at the back as well as the adaptive dampers. Although I don't think, for me at the moment, I've thought at any point this car is uncomfortable. It's amazingly comfortable, so not sure air ride would actually benefit you in any way. Yeah, don't see the point of that one. But now we're on some twisty bits of road. Let's see how the handling of this car performs in, we'll go to Sport, so everything goes red. Because for me, at BMW, it's about the driving experience, isn't it? BMWs are known for being the ultimate driving machines, now the ultimate electric driving machines, but are they? This is rear-wheel drive, which is good. So we're going to head on down these roads round Beachy Head because they are very tight and twisty, and see how we get on. It is a heavy car in comparison to its petrol counterpart. It's well over 2 tons. So yeah, let's see how we get on. I'm hoping it won't affect it too much. I'm going to speak to a friend of mine, Joe Achilles, and get his opinion because he's recently driven the M50 and also this 40M Sport. So yeah, well, Joe, what do you think of it? Will be interesting to see. And before we go over to talk to him though, make sure you go and subscribe and view his content because it's pretty awesome.
Hey Damo, I hope you're well, mate. So you want my opinion on the i440 compared to the flagship i4 M50. Well, I had the M50 at the back end of last year and overall was reasonably impressed with it considering it's on a combustion engine 3 Series chassis. But I felt that it was trying to be something that it wasn't. It felt too fast, it felt too heavy, and it felt a little bit confused. I recently, as in a couple of weeks ago, got my hands on the i440, which I know you've just tested, and it was basically better everywhere. Better range, 12 to 14,000 pounds cheaper. It rode better, as in it had a better ride. It seemed to have all the performance you could ever want. Yeah, I know on paper 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds doesn't sound that quick by today's standards, but actually it feels a lot quicker than that in reality. And most important to me, think it's about 200 kilos lighter, or maybe it was 300, I can't remember. I put it in my video that is coming out very soon, but regardless, it's a fair chunk lighter than the M50. So when you added all those up, the fact that it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot lighter, it rides better, it has all the performance you could ever want, it's got a bigger range, well, to me it was just a no-brainer. I think the 40 is the one that everyone should go for, but you know, people are still going to go for the flagship M50 because of its headline acceleration figures. Talking of acceleration figures, I'm in the brand new Porsche 992 Gen Carrera 4 GTS, and this thing is fast. No electric car is going to sound that good. Anyway, buddy, see you soon. Take it easy.
Back to the driving experience of the 40 M Sport. Now we're in sports mode. We have got 340 brake horsepower, 60 in 5.7 seconds. And that is the impressive thing about electric cars. It's that shunt you get from any point in the rev range. You don't have to wait for either gears to change down or turbos to spool up. You just put your foot down and you're off. So we're doing 30 miles an hour. I'll put my foot down. And 60. That's what electric power gives you. And you can have 577 brake if you get the M50, but why? Is there any point in it? That is quick. Let's have another go. Yep. It makes you laugh, it really does. I don't think once you've had the car for that long you'd be doing that too often. You'd probably just be driving around in normal driving conditions. It's just when you jump in an electric car for the first time, it's always fun just to go. Yeah. It's always a bit of a laugh, that. Now that's a view and a half, isn't it? I absolutely love it. These roads up at Beachy Head are very good for testing a car and its handling and its ability. They're very, very tight and twisty. We've got this switchback S-bend in a minute, and we'll see how we get on down here. I mean, it's 60 miles an hour limit. You get a massive shove in your back. These are tight, you know, that's not going anywhere, that. I have to slow down because I've caught up with something else, but that was really, really impressive. Yeah, people say electric cars are boring. I think BMW have changed that, because this is certainly not boring. This is fun. The iX I drove was a great machine from going from A to B, and wasn't that exciting. It was technically brilliant, but this on the other hand is technically good and it's fun to drive. The amount of tech you get on this car is pretty impressive. We've got loads of safety features. We've got everything from blind spot monitoring, automatic braking, automatic steering, active cruise control, blind spot monitoring. The list goes on, and then on a bit more. So I'm not going to cover all of that, because that doesn't really make it any different from the other models. The thing that does make it different is a thing called Regency Braking, and that's the ability to convert your braking energy into electricity using the electric motors. Now, rather than putting your foot on the brake and it pressing the brake pads into the disc and slowing you down, doesn't do that to start with. It actually reverses the electric motors, so it turns them in the opposite direction. So rather than providing drive forwards, it turns into a little generator and pushes electricity back into the battery. It's not going to recharge your batteries massively, but it just gives you a few extra miles of range. And the thing that gets really clever about this is the different modes you can put it in. So we can enable one pedal driving, and I'll explain what that means. So we push the drive selector across to the right into B, and now we've engaged this one pedal driving. If you haven't heard about this, all that means is rather than having to brake, I just lift off the accelerator and it will slow the car down for me. So we're doing 43 miles an hour, I lift off and I'm not braking, the car is automatically braking and it will bring me to a stop. That's given me a few watts of energy back in to the battery, and it also means you're not using your brake pads and discs, which is definitely a good thing. Now the really clever bit comes when you go across to the right, and you can have different settings of regen. So you might want it off to feel more like a normal traditional car, so you just coast and it doesn't brake, or you can leave it in adaptive. Now that's the one I leave it in, and this does very clever things. This is where I'm most impressed with it, is the camera and things on the front of the car monitoring what's ahead of me. So when I come up to a junction, it knows I need to slow down, and rather than applying the brake, it will give me the maximum amount of regen possible. So it's going to stop me with regen rather than brakes, which I think is really clever. It also, even more impressively, if you're coming up to a junction, so you've got your sat nav or whatever, and it knows you need to turn off, it will apply more regen because it knows you need to slow down in order to make that turning, or if the traffic lights are red, it knows you need to stop, so it will apply maximum regen. So that to me is technology that is just incredibly clever, but you don't need a degree or any form of qualifications to work out how to use it, and that's the same with most of this car. It's very, very simple to use. So the question I asked at the beginning was, should you get an i4 or should you get a 4 Series Grand Coupe or even a 3 Series petrol? For me, I would most definitely get the petrol version, and that's not because this isn't a good car. It is a great car. It's the fact it doesn't fit my lifestyle. I'm not going to get those financial benefits. I've got nowhere to charge it. It's not going to be a company car. So yeah, there's no point in spending the £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 more that it would cost to buy this electric over a traditional petrol. But on the other hand, if you were buying this as a company car and you had somewhere to charge it, this would be a fantastic choice. So there's a bit of a diplomatic answer. It's all down to your lifestyle. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Comments are always welcome, and remember to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.